The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Ambar Garcia, Bryan Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of The Break presented by LG. Derek is not here today, but we got Nick, we got Voch, and then we got Bryan in studio. A lot of excitement this morning. Woke up to big news. A lot of fans seem very, very happy about this recent trade that the Cowboys made. They've gone out and gotten wide receiver George Pickens, and this was a deal that they make with Pittsburgh Steelers. They basically got Pickens and a 2027 sixth-round pick for the draft in 2027 in exchange for a 2026 third-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick from the Dallas Cowboys. So how are you guys doing? How are you feeling? Tell me your initial reaction to these latest news that the Cowboys did.
If I could explain my 12 hours in two words, it would probably be extremely exhausting. But it's a good trade, man. It's fun. We're going to have a lot to talk about, especially not even on this show. I mean, throughout the course of the next couple of years. This is a high risk, high reward type of ordeal. I want to get these guys' thoughts on it before I go too far into it. But I'd be remiss if I did not mention the parking hell that is the Star this weekend. If you plan on coming down here, be ready to find a parking spot. The ACMs have this place as an absolute zoo. So that's why I was late, Chris Beam. You can donk me for that. But other than that, it's been a crazy last 12 hours.
You know, Cowboy fans get a gift waking up this morning. You know, the past few weeks, months or so, we were thinking, all right, it could be a 30-year-old wide receiver. You know, maybe somebody's at the end of their prime, or maybe we'll get lucky with a fifth-round guy that we draft or something like that. And Cowboys say, no, hang tight. And then you get this wide receiver 1B. I'm not going to call him wide receiver 2. This wide receiver 1B that whoops top-tier corners by himself. You pair him with the guys you have and the quarterback you have. I don't want to take too many talking points. I'm going to be like, Nick, Bryan, please. I'm just thrilled right now.
Yeah, this one was done without a safety net. You know, if you look at it, really, it's a one-year deal to right now. And, you know, with the Cowboys, with some of the contracts that they have coming up, but it is a bold move. It is there, you know, to lay out a third and a fifth for a player that you might just only have for 1 year. But, you know, you got to like the excitement of it. You know, we're all kind of talking about, we're thinking about maybe a veteran receiver. Maybe it was Amari Cooper, you know, but they were talking, they were thinking bold. They were thinking to go out and get a guy that could absolutely help them. And this particular player, Ambar, he can help this football team.
Can we start there with the contract thing?
Please.
Because that's I think is the most fascinating piece of it immediately, right? Is because I spent probably an hour last night talking to somebody in Pittsburgh. I have a really a good friend of mine that I grew up with that plays for the Steelers. And I called him this morning. Yeah. I've talked to a few people about what George Pickens' situation is or was, I guess, in Pittsburgh. They were fully expecting him to make their life hell this offseason. They were saying he was going to hold out for a contract. That's what they were preparing for. Yeah. That's why that they wanted to go ahead and deal them. That came from the source. Now, from the players, like, this is kind of one of those guys in your locker room. Yeah, he's the bad kid in class, but he's the bad kid in class that all the kids love and all the teachers hate. Yep. And, you know, I think that could be a fascinating dynamic in the locker room. You know, how does that exactly work for the teachers here in Dallas? But it's going to be fascinating. But I want to start with that contract part, because if they are not signing him to a deal now, and they're basically saying, hey, 1 year rental, prove it. Yeah. You have to play worst case scenario in that same instance as well. And the worst case scenario is either one of two things. One, he doesn't work out. He's a bad apple, and it becomes a situation where you look back at this trade and you're like, man, Pittsburgh dealt with a lot of hell that they didn't really show on the surface, a la Antonio Brown. Sure. Or the other worst case scenario is that he absolutely balls out. He gives you 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns, and you can't afford him next summer, and he moves on, and you're out a third and a fifth round pick. If it were me, I'd get the deal done now. I'd be like, hey, George Pickens, you want 20, 25 million? Sure, let's do it. Let's get it done right now. And if Pickens doesn't want to do it, then you figure out a price that works for both sides. That would be me. But I do know that you also have to factor in that it might not work out with him from a risk standpoint. But that, I think, is the most fascinating part of this immediately.
Well, it's a third, though. So you would imagine that the Cowboys have to walk into this thing with some good vibes and some possibility that them thinking that this could work. It's like this isn't some throwaway fifth or like they love their third round picks. They don't play about third round picks. So in my mind, I think the Cowboys are ready to extend them. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. They probably want to wait around and see a little bit, but I think the Cowboys just rolling dice again. Hey, man, we got a leader in here. We got number 4 up in here. We got a number 1 receiver that can make his life a little bit better. We're going to win some games. We ain't got to worry about Kenny Pickett walking around here, Russell Wilson. Well, you earn all of this respect in different ways. You don't just roll out and say, hey, we're Pittsburgh, we're this prestigious organization, and you're going to respect us. You get respect by wins and dudes that demand respect. I think Ford is a guy that can. Did he have a master's in like leadership or something? Something like that. He knows how to deal with guys like this. Lamb is already cool with him, right? They're friends already. I think this is a better homey vibe than we're prestigious Pittsburgh and you better do X, Y, Z.
No, I think that Nick's absolutely right. And talking to people in Pittsburgh, they talk about him in the locker room. That's not a problem about him. And it always reminds me, though, if people start to say, and I know there were some people on Twitter that were making some comments, I know in my direction, were about, well, there goes culture. There goes all the things that we talked about in the draft, that Brian Schottenheimer and all that. Let me remind you that one time Jason Garrett's father, said in the draft room when talking about Randy Moss, guys, this is the NFL. It's not the Boy Scouts. This culture if they're building some things, it's really about getting great football players. It's about trying to find great football players, add great football players so you can compete with the teams in the NFC. And hopefully you can go through the playoffs and hopefully you can get to a Super Bowl. But you don't do that without great players. This guy's a great player. And you're willing to even put up with having to maybe part with a 3rd and 5th round pick. And you might not get this deal done. But that there is your all-in move, in my opinion. We've kind of given Jerry Jones a lot of grief about that like, oh, we're all in. What's this all in? No, for you to, as much as this team loves draft picks, for them to part with, and, people say, well, damn, Broaddus, they part with a 4th round pick all the time. Okay, that's their way of trying to maybe address a need here. But to throw out a 3rd and a 5th for a player that doesn't have a contract, or for next year or after this year, I think is a very bold move, because I think this guy is going to come in and play very, very well for you.
Plus, Bryan, what's the point of having leaders then to not lead guys like this, right? You don't just bring in leaders to lead other leaders. You bring in leaders just in case you have
some immaturity problems with this guy. There's some immaturity problems with this guy, and he's a very fiery, emotional player. When you watch him play, you could see how important it is to him. And there's going to be some times where probably body language is not great and things like that. But you just got to find a way to be able to deal with that. And people will probably say, well, damn, Mike Tomlin, who was one of the best in the league, having to deal with these problematic receivers. But they've kind of moved on. When they felt like they needed to move on from a guy, they've moved on. So they have to feel good about the deal, just as good as Dallas feels about getting the player. We'll see which side of this actually wins out, but I have no problem with going out and getting a player like this.
Throw the ball to him. He'll be all right. My bad, Ambar. Go ahead.
No, you're good. No, I was going to say, I don't think, going back to the contract situation, I don't think you or the Cowboys can make a decision, a trade like this, without a plan in mind. I think they do have a plan in mind, and we'll see how it takes into effect later on. And I do have in my rundown for today, Brian Schottenheimer and the culture that he's implementing or trying to implement here. We'll touch and we'll get back to that later and talk about how a guy like him coming into here, how that could change things around. But in the meantime, I want to go back and talk about what kind of player he is in the last 2 years, what you guys have seen around the league and what he's done over there in Pittsburgh. We know he's been with different quarterbacks. How does he look? What does he do? And how would he work alongside CeeDee Lamb?
Throw the ball to him. He'll find it. Just throw it down there somewhere. He'll find it. His ability to find the ball in the air, whether it's somebody latched on to him, whether he's wide open, him tracking the ball, that's where he really gets busy there. And whether it's accurate or not, whether he's tracking, hands up slow, trail technique, whatever you want to do. He's physical. He's a yak guy with the ball in his hands. I just can't say enough. And if you watch him, and y'all can do the little filters, deep pass, short pass, he's the best deep ball receiver in the league, and that's not my opinion.
That's metrics will tell you that. The metrics tell you all that. Yeah.
That's the metrics and the numbers saying that, right? So I think if you're Dak and you're used to throwing the ball to 5'9" receivers or 5'11" receivers deep, now you get a 6'3" catch radius dude that tracks it and just catches everything, jumps over guys sometimes. I think it's a slam dunk.
The physicality jumps off the page, no doubt. And this is a stat that was thrown out by a guy on Twitter this morning named Ray G. I'm sorry, Ray G. I don't know who you are. I'm giving you credit here.
I know Ray G.
From 2022 to 2024, so over the course of the last 3 seasons.
I love Ray G, man. Go ahead, Nick, please.
He's a Q, by the way, so Derek would have loved Ray G.
Oh, I know Ray G.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another Ray G I know. Sorry, Nick.
It's not Ray J.
I'm about to say, a video involved here?
Oh, no. Please, Nick, finish.
Go ahead.
What the hell Ray G saying?
George picked his 3 most successful routes over the course of the last 3 seasons in order: go route, hitch route, out route.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott's 3 most successful routes in order: hitch route, out route, go route. I mean, this is a perfect combination, or perfect marriage, I guess you could say, from a Dak to Pickens perspective. And Dak hasn't had that true outside presence since early in his career when Des Bryant was still around. True. And this is a guy that he can rely on. I mean, we saw it briefly with Michael Gallup, but I think George Pickens is going to give you a different element here because he's got the speed. He certainly has the physicality, and he's going to open up so much for CeeDee Lamb. Honestly, though, if I'm looking at the receiver room, yes, this benefits CeeDee Lamb. Yes, it benefits George Pickens, too. I think he's going to end up having a better career. This is going to benefit Jonathan Mingo so much, I think, going into 2025. This is a guy that, before this trade, you were saying, gosh, they need Jonathan Mingo to step up. Now it's, hey, Jonathan Mingo can develop and do what he needs to do. And let's say worst case scenario doesn't work out for George Pickens, then they have a year of development with Jonathan Mingo without the pressing need to continue to develop him. I mean, from a football perspective, this is a slam dunk, home run, grand slam, whatever you want to call it, whatever other pseudonym you want to call it. But it's the off the field stuff that's going to make it so polarized.
Don't worry about the off the field. Just think positive things right now. Back to Mingo real fast. Mingo doesn't even have to be wide receiver 3. Ferguson is going to be the first guy to celebrate that. And then like Jadon Blue, if you want those one-on-ones with linebackers and safeties, eat them up, player. If you Mingo, you're really like 5th or 6th that some team will really worry about. Come on, man. Come on, please, man.
This guy's not going to make you ever forget about Amari Cooper running routes. That's just not his game.
He's not a route runner.
He's not a route runner. This guy is there's some playground element to the way he plays football. And if you embrace that, you're going to get the best version of this player. Because when you do watch him, if you think he's going to plant it 12 yards and make the outcut, we talked about the vertical routes. His ability to separate is his physicality. Nick brought that up. His ability to get his hands inside or get his shoulder inside and to push and to gouge for space. This is what this guy does. And I think Voch made an excellent point about this guy. His ability to track the football, I think, is rare. He never loses sight of the football. And I think the routes that he ran at Pittsburgh, and maybe it had a little bit to do with the quarterback situation there, that they didn't really have a bunch of route combinations. But you put this guy in bunch cover or in bunch formations, let it scatter, let him run across in routes, let him catch the ball on the move, bring him in motion out of the slot on 3rd down and throw him the ball in the flat and watch him get a first down. This guy with ball in hand, he could be a pain in the ass to deal with because of his ability and his desire to want to get every yard he can out of the play. So this guy's got an element to him. Like I said, it's got a little playground to it. Mm-hmm. But, man, he is a fun guy to watch play when he's got it rolling.
They really just did get their Gen Z Des Bryant. I mean,
I think
that is exactly.
I think they absolutely
Fix
did.
it, Rich.
I think they did. You watch him and you're like going, man, that route. What was that? You know what? But he finds a way to get open.
Great corners too.
Yeah, and he's working Surtain. He's working the guy in Atlanta,
the Jets guys, all
the Jet. He's working all those guys, and he's doing it not because they're scared to death of him, because they know how physical he plays the top of the route and his ability to drive them off the ball. And all of a sudden they're thinking he's going deep, and then he plants and comes back to the ball. You know, the comebacks, the curls, the things like that. You know, and he's got that ability to, wherever the ball is, high, low, wide, on the ground, on top of his shoes, wherever it is, he can go low and get the football. This guy's got that kind of ability. It's impressive to watch him play.
Let's go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, we're going to dive into a little bit deeper the whole culture thing that Brian Schottenheimer is trying to build here with the Cowboys, and what a guy like him with that type of personality and everything that we've been hearing, how he's been over there in Pittsburgh, what that could mean for the Cowboys in bringing in like a guy like him after the break.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Don't put off getting your oil changed, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's stay-in-your-car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise. The Yeti French Press. Up next, waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof backpacks. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like Mama's recipes. Take a steak, cornbread, cobbler's pot pie, and potatoes, and next level with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
Back to the break.
I got a cough.
What the hell going on?
Wow, that was crazy. God was sending me for that one. LG OLED Evo is the best TV of the game. I promise it is, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said that.
It's not a coughing matter.
Wow, Digital Trends said the LG OLED Evo has the best picture quality they've ever seen. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo. Wow,
was that a sneeze or a cough?
It was a cough. Like I got like a dust speckle in my windpipe.
They want their damn money back.
Perfect time at just the right time.
LG, we sorry. We love all these monitors y'all got to give, but Jesus, Nick.
Well, thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
The talent not as good
Welcome
for TV.
back.
Read it again, Nick. Just read it again.
I can never be as good as Ambar. That's the issue here.
Welcome back to the second segment presented by blockchain.com. All right, guys. You guys already hinted at the fact That was you. You said in the first segment you said hell like 3 times.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
So God probably, since you said
Yeah, that is
he's
that's
like, hey,
yeah.
hey,
Heck.
get that out of your mouth.
Yeah. Shucks.
Start talking about heaven.
Okay, so you guys already hinted at the fact that he's shown some behavioral issues over there that might be a little hard to work with when you're a coach. So as far as culture, we've seen a whole lot of what Bryan Schottenheimer is really trying to build here. He's a very player coach. He builds those relationships, but he's also shown in the way that he's spoken to the media that he's not afraid to discipline people and be tough and hard on people to make sure that everyone's doing what they are supposed to do and asked to do. With a guy like him, again, what are you guys expecting this merge to be? Is he gonna be a type of player that you see, okay, he takes this as a new opportunity into, okay, now I'm here in this new environment, I'm gonna do what I'm told and not behave this or that way? Or are you guys expecting in the long term, because of the personality, that this might turn out to be a problem?
I don't think I have expectations right now. I think there's a wide range of things that could happen.
Yes, sir.
And, you take what you get in any sense. We were talking in the break, and I think Bryan made a good point. He's like, if it doesn't pan out, at least they tried. And I think this is definitely a talent worth trying on, from a character standpoint. Again, talking to that player that played with Pickens on the same team over the course of the last couple of years, the locker room, they like this guy. Yeah. He is a likable player amongst his peers. It's just he's kind of the bad kid in class that the teachers really hate seeing walk through the door every day. So it's going to be a fascinating situation. However, given what Bryan Schottenheimer has shown over the course of the first couple of months on the job, what he said over the first couple of months on the job, I think this is a challenge he's going to be facing head on, and I'm sure this is going to be one that Schottenheimer takes under his wing to get ahead of problems before they manifest. This is nothing against Mike McCarthy, but if Mike McCarthy was still in the building, I would have a lot more concerns about how this would pan out. Still have concerns, but I think Bryan Schottenheimer is better equipped to deal with a player like this.
Honestly, wide receivers have been divas my whole life. I've been around football for a long time. They've always been this kind of guy. As long as Pickens isn't hitting people, getting arrested, robbing banks, speeding, as long as he's not doing stuff like that, I mean, just keeping it in football. Like if the worst you have to deal with is him complaining or, publicly saying, hey, can I get some more catches here? Then the easy fix of that is just throw the ball to him. Throw the ball to him. I think as a talent, he's worth the small possible headache that you would have to deal with. He's not going to be the guy that you could just trust to just get it done on his own. Cool, fine. Just do a little more. Didn't the Joneses hire somebody to follow Dez around and make sure he didn't get in trouble?
Yeah.
I don't even think this is that kind of situation. I just think he wanted football. I think he'll loudly in front of media tell you that, but I don't think he's like a trouble. I don't know if he's going to show up kind of guy. I don't think he's that kind of dude. Plus, I think he loves football, and as long as he's willing to work at it and get better, cool. But if he's not driving the ship, I don't have a problem with this. He's not wide receiver one here. CD's the guy here, then Dak is the guy here, and if Schottenheimer is people person and he can bring those kind of guys in, it'll be some bumps in the road and headlines, but I don't think it's going to be a huge issue like that.
You're going to immediately see what kind of coach Junior Adams is here with the receiving group. You're going to immediately see. I mean, here he is. He goes from being in the college ranks and working with personalities, these college kids. I mean, he's been at some fine schools with some big time egos with wide receivers and stuff like that. And I'm saying this in a positive way, but this is one of those moments where he probably, when, he found out that he was going to get George Pickens, he's like, okay, I got to figure these things out. As a receivers coach, I mean, that's the one room that has those types of guys with the personalities. So he's probably used to this, but this is a big personality. I'm saying this in a positive way. I'm not saying this guy's a malcontent or a problem in that way. Like Voch was talking about, did you have to worry about him off the field? He just is super competitive, and he wears that every single day that he goes out there. You can watch his tape. You can watch every play with the ball, and you could see how much it does mean to him. But we're going to find out right off the jump what kind of relationships that Junior Adams, the wide receiver coach, can build with this guy and then keep him on the path that they need to go for the season.
The first availability that Bryan Schottenheimer has during OTAs is going to be very fascinating because there's going to be a lot of questions about all right, how do you plan on handling this guy?
Yeah.
And how is it going to work? How is it already, fitting in? One thing that I thought was interesting, and I noticed it last week when we were in the locker room talking to rookies, is that there's an open locker next to Dak Prescott. And I noticed that. And I was like, that's wide receiver too. Whether it's Amari Cooper or a George Pickens or somebody else that was on the trade market, it makes sense for that guy to have that locker. It makes even more sense for George Pickens to have that locker now.
Well, nonetheless, this move is very exciting, and it's been a while since I've seen fans have such a positive and exciting reaction and giving props to Jerry Jones and the moves that they've done this year.
He said he was going to go for a substantial move.
Yeah.
He was saying, hey, we are working on, and then sometimes, Ambar, it's, okay, thank you. We hear you're talking again, and you're thinking, he's just kind of setting us up for something. But in fact, they really did. I mean, the more, like I say, and I know Nick and all of us were working on this, and as in the coming days, and reaching out after the draft, I'm like, hey, you still working on receivers? And I heard crickets, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. My sources, who are usually pretty good on these things, were not saying anything. So they were working on this thing. They were living up to what they were trying to do, and they knew they needed to get something done like this. And again, I have to applaud them for doing it.
In the context here, and Bryan, feel free to build on it if you have more, is they did have conversations with Pittsburgh during draft weekend about George Pickens.
Sure did.
The price around that time was something different than what it ended up being at the end. And they went through the draft looking for a couple of options, couldn't find any. Obviously didn't draft any guys. Trayshawn Holden's not going to be your wide receiver too. And as the week following, we were talking about last week, started to come about, they really started to expand their net. It's
absolutely.
like, okay,
yeah.
What all is available to us? They were intrigued by Amari Cooper. I reported on that there is team interest there, and there still is team interest. However, I think as they talked more with Pittsburgh over the course of the last 48 to 72 hours, the price started to become a little bit more palatable for both sides, and here we are.
This might have been something too that got set up because of Aaron Rodgers. I think the Steelers might be in the mix now of going to get Aaron Rodgers signed up, and maybe this was we're going to move on from one to get another kind of a thing. That it's just
move on from one headache to get another.
Just kind of some speculation going on in the league right now that the Steelers are on that path, and this was the first move that they knew they had to make a move. And listen, Dallas, you're right, Nick. Dallas made a lot of calls, and when I reached out to some guys in the front office, they were like, we're looking at a lot of wide receivers, Bryan, a lot of wide receivers. So I was like going, oh, okay, well, maybe this is actually going to come about. But, and it did. And late last night, they got everything done and buttoned up, and we'll see how it does play out. But I will go on record right now, as Ambar said, I'm going to go on record and say that, that I can do nothing but say, hey, this is the type of move that I would have absolutely made. I would have, you need a player like this to compete within your division, and hopefully he helps you with the season, and he helps you as you get into the playoff runs as well.
Well, during my time here, I've been 11 years here now, and during this whole time that I've been here, this is the first time that I've seen the Cowboys make this many moves, and I'm taking into consideration all the moves that they did during free agency, the offseason moves, the trades, the amount of trades that they made. Plus, top it off with this one, the most recent one that is the most significant one. So they're changing things around this time, and they're making moves, and we'll see how it all pays out for this upcoming season. But it's at least you're not sitting around, waiting and waiting. Yeah. It feels different this time around.
I feel like I was one of the first to criticize how they went about last offseason, and I want to preface that before I say my next statement is because I feel like I gave out criticism when it was necessary. This front office deserves a lot of credit for how they went about their business this offseason. And I think there was an expectation heading into the offseason that there wasn't going to be a lot of movement allowed via salary cap or other issues, but they have really set up Bryan Schottenheimer for success, and now it's up to Bryan to be able to produce on the field. I mean, he has his pieces. I mean, I'd be very curious to think about what Mike McCarthy's thinking about right now. But nevertheless, it's Bryan Schottenheimer, and he has the tools in front of him to make it happen.
Do you guys think that this is going to lead to the Cowboys saying, all right, we've been saying run game, right? Do you think that this is going to lead to them truly saying, all right, we're going to run the football and just whatever happens, happens? Or do they see these wide receivers here and go, man, Dak's going to have 40 passes a game, 50 passes a game? What y'all think?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Just because
you got a dude now.
Yeah.
And he's going to need catches.
We went into the hiring of the coaches and stuff and the building of the staff and started kind of connecting dots and they talked about running the football. I think they're still going to be committed to trying to do that. And I think with the drafting with Booker, we'll see what happens at left tackle. That now becomes my vision goes from, other positions to left tackle and to potentially what's going to happen at corner. But I do feel like the thing when we had a chance to interview, Clayton Adams and those guys before day 3 of the draft, they we were saying pin and pull, this and that and the other, outside zone and all that. And he basically said, listen, if we don't have the players to do it, we're not going to do it. So I think that they're going to go in with the idea of like, hey, listen, we're going to work to run the football. We know we're going to figure out ways. I mean, you got a guy in Williams that's a really good pass protector in the backfield. If they have to throw the football multiple times, I think that, it doesn't always play well for Dak, but at least they have the weapons to make that happen. I'd love to see Jake Ferguson and Schoonmaker and all those guys. And you mentioned Blue. If they're going to have to throw the ball, at least they've got some bodies that are capable of making plays.
Yeah, I think their focus stays the same as far as at least finding that balance between the running game and the passing game, creating that balance that they didn't necessarily have last year. And I think at the end of the day, way too late into the season. But I think at the end of the day, you go with wherever the talent is substantially better. If that's a wide receiver, you use it. You use your best players, but I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about what they're trying to do right now.
Ambar, Bryan, do either of you know what a Shiesty mask is by chance?
You just going to assume I know what it means?
Yes.
I do know what it means.
Is it?
Well,
okay.
You don't want to know what popped into my head.
Yeah.
That sounds.
You could go anywhere.
Yeah.
So could Bryan, though.
Yeah, is it like a full?
I'd be damned.
It's a ski mask.
Ski mask, yeah.
George Pickens wears it pregame, and it was when he was drafted. He had it on.
Yeah.
Looking at the TV.
I thought this was like people that dress in black.
Yeah.
I mean, they are typically black. They are typically black. The Shiesty masks.
Damn, Nick.
The Shiesty mask.
Damn, Nick.
The Shiesty mask.
I got another question about George Pickens. If y'all want to get back to football, I got a question. If y'all.
Leather.
Or we going to break, or we got a question.
Let's go to break.
Okay, go to break. I got a question. We come back. That's a tease. Let's go.
The cotton.
Let's go to break.
Stop, Nick.
Oh, I didn't even. God, that was bad.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
AT&T connecting changes everything, and I am on a talking timeout for the rest of the segment.
Shouts out to AT&T.
Shouts out.
The floor is yours.
Okay, got a question. Okay,
go.
So the type of we say character guy that Pickens is, the complaining about catches and all this. CD also at one time kind of complained about his catches, right? So let me just ask this.
Justified, by the way.
For sure, 100%. So I'm just asking y'all's thoughts. We don't know for sure. Is Pickens the guy that complains about not getting targets when you win? Or is he the guy that's complaining because he wants to win so bad, but Kenny Pickett and Russell Wilson aren't throwing him the ball and he's the best target for you? You know what I'm saying? Like, is he just so frustrated that we're not winning and, hey, throw me the ball because I'm frustrated, I'm mad? Or if you're blowing out somebody by 40 and he got 3 catches, he go, you know what, we're winning by 40, but I could sure use 5 catches. I'm going to complain. I think that's 2 different types of complaining there. So where would you guys assume? We don't know, but like, what would you think?
I don't have enough context to give you that right now. Although I do think you bring up a solid point about the quarterbacks that he has dealt with through his first 3 years. And if you just look back to last season and kind of the struggles that he had to deal with at times from a target to reception ratio perspective, and there were some issues there. I think there was a lot of miscommunication, whether it be Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, he's dealt with a lot of different signal callers, but I don't have enough context to give you that answer, Voch. But I think it's a valid point because there are some in the league that want the targets and receptions no matter what the final score is, and there's some who, as long as they're winning, hey, it's fine. You know, I think there's a couple people in this locker room that when they don't get the stats in a big win, they feel a type of way. And we've talked about a few of those guys. So you wonder if he's one of them.
Reason why I asked,
I'm going to answer the question.
Dez was a guy like that, right? Like Dez publicly said, "Hey man, we winning. I ain't got to have all the catches. We winning." You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Bryan, please.
I'm going to be real reckless here because Nick's trying to be professional. I'm not professional. I'm just going to say it. I think this guy.
Take the heat off me.
I think this guy loves to play football, and I think that it doesn't matter whoever he's going up against, he can find a way to win. You know, and if the game plan maybe calls to go another direction, you know, and they're not winning, I think that really bothers him. I think football is very, very important to this guy. And you can watch him play in college. You could tell it then. You could watch in the NFL. Yeah, I would rather have a guy that loses his mind because he's not. I'm not helping you try and win this game. You know, please. I mean, we've all been there. We've seen the Dez Bryants on the sidelines and stuff. And Dez, it more was body language, but he was always trying to be kind of encouraging. Hey, I can win. Just get me the ball. Find a way to get. And I think this guy's that. I think he's a similar type player. I think every catch that he made that I watched this morning that resulted in a first down, you could see the emotion of like first down. And like he was kind of, and you get the taunting and you get a little bit of this, he is so competitive that he honestly believes that if you throw him the ball 16 times, he is going to make 16 receptions. And so he wants that opportunity because he's that's just how I think that's how he's wired. So yeah, is it something that maybe you're going to have to tone it down a little bit? Man, I would rather have the guy that wants the ball, that wants to make plays, as opposed to the guy that's terrified. Please don't hit the ball to me. Please don't throw me the ball. Please don't draw up the last shot for me. I think Pickens is a guy that wants to compete at a high level, and it comes off as sometimes as maybe complaining. But he just in his heart believes that he can win on every single play. I'll take that guy.
Yeah, and sometimes I think it's easier for you to pull someone back rather than have to push them forward. And with the right kind of voice and the right environment, I think he can thrive in this and see that, hey, we're not going to be dealing with that kind of behavior. And I think that what Schottenheimer brings is that there will be consequences to the way you act. And if you decide to act right, then that's going to be reflected on the field and how many times you get to touch the ball. That's at least what I'm getting at. Before we end the show, time is running out.
Could I throw one question?
Yes, go ahead.
One thing in there? Because you did bring up one thing. Did you say Schottenheimer has shown that like there will be consequences?
Yes.
That is a question I have. Is like when there are issues that will come about with certain players. Just think back to Trayvon in San Francisco last year. Mm-hmm. How is Schottenheimer going to handle that? Because he has shown that he's trying to build high character, and if you're not about it, then we'll figure out how to make sure that that's not here. But I do wonder when he is faced with that situation mid-season, how does he handle that? Whether that's Trayvon Diggs or George Pickens or Micah Parsons, whoever. That's going to be one of his bigger questions or biggest, I think, adversity points is like, okay, how does he respond to this? That's going to be a big question of mine for sure.
Right now, he's saying all the right things.
For sure.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, just like you said, we'll have to wait and see because we haven't seen it in action just yet. But everything he said so far and the way that he's talked to the media, what he said the other day recently, that he's been paying attention. The veterans who are talking to the rookies, the people that have come in, he's looking for those type of behavior in veteran guys. Be a leader, be that voice, be an example for everybody else. Okay, going now to the rookies, we had rookie minicamp happen, and I don't want to end the show before going around and asking you guys, what were your first impression? We got to see these guys in person. We don't get a lot of big action happening in rookie minicamp, but we get to see their full presence and body.
Boy, Tyler Booker's going to be happy that George Pickens is here. And, man, Jadon Blue's going to get a bunch of passes because George Pickens is here. And Trayshawn Holden going to have to compete a little bit harder, boy, because George Pickens is here. That's all I got on the rookie.
Yeah, I think to me, though, physically it's nice to see them. There used to be a time, and Ambar, you'll remember this, when like under the Jason Garrett administration, they used to like practice. We'd see them out there really kind of, now it's more about, hey, locker rooms over here, training rooms over here, dining halls here. When you park over here. So, where you get to physically see how the players look, and you get to kind of get the idea, name with a face kind of thing. You get to talk to them a little bit and those kinds of things, which is cool. To me, where this will be the most important is the training camp aspect thing. But those mandatory mini camps, when you have the veterans with the rookies, that's where you're going to tell me where these coaches feel like these rookies can fit in. And I know Voch will say this. Listen, don't tell me that Booker needs to be over on field 3 working with the 3s and the 4s. He needs to be over there playing right guard right off the jump. Yeah. Don't try and make it, you got to earn your thing. No. You've got to, you drafted these guys for a reason. Figure it out.
Also, too, Bryan, sorry, Nick.
No, you got it.
I don't want to see Booker lining up at left guard just to see if he can play left guard. Yeah. Leave him at right because that's where he's going to be, and let him start to work on that right side footedness and handedness because he's been playing the left side the whole time. My bad, Nick.
No, you're good. These guys have said plenty about the rookies. I think, we won't really get a good feel of these rookies until training camp and how they fit in with the rest of the veterans. But I will say one thing that really did stand out to me from rookie minicamp: energy. It was our first time to be able to see a Bryan Schottenheimer led practice. Well, yeah. And that was I've only been here since the start of the Mike McCarthy era, but it is notably different than a McCarthy practice. I mean, music was playing the whole time, which is unlike a McCarthy practice. We'll see if that carries into the season. Yelling, energy. I mean, and that's what all the players said coming off the field. Energy. Mm-hmm. This is a very energetic practice. Energetic coaching staff. What they talk about off the field, at least in one rookie mini camp practice that we've seen with our own eyes, it's at least translated onto the practice field.
See, real quick though, Ambar, too, is that we kind of get a little bit of a taste of the energy of the coaching staff when we heard the secret audio calls and how pumped up guys were and guys passing the phone and, hey man, you're in, and just trying to, and the players were kind of I think the players were shocked at how energized the coaches were on the phone. They're like, yeah, coach, ready to work. Well, man, we got to come in here. We got to, I think the coaches were more excited about the player, being the pick and having the players. So yeah, this staff does have a lot of energy to it.
Because they're young. I mean, Mike was what, 70? I'm not being funny. I really know how old.
61.
61?
Yeah.
He's
nothing wrong with being 61, bro.
My bad, Bryan.
You work with a guy every night at 61.
My fault, man. But Mike was older, man. Mike has done this before. Mike has had coaching jobs before. When
give you the Shiesty mask here in a little bit, man.
Can someone Photoshop the Shiesty mask onto Bryan?
Bryan Schottenheimer. This is his first job as a head coach, man. He's a young dude, so of course he'll have a lot more energy
Heck yeah, he was. His old man had a lot of energy too. His dad was a good coach.
I was born in 92. I ain't see him too much.
Exactly.
I saw the second day of rookie minicamp, I saw Will McClay, and he was walking out, and he's just like, man, all these coaches running around the whole field. Like, you see them running, and he's like, they better be careful before they pull something or hurt themselves. But that just goes to show, again, what we saw and what you guys are talking about. They're so full of excitement and energy. They're out there moving around, running around with the players. So that's super exciting. And also the players, everyone I got to talk to, I love their personalities. Like, the vibes right now are all so positive. So we'll see. We'll keep waiting and seeing how everything, because everything is rainbow and sunshine right now. So we'll see.
Can I throw one final question out there?
Go ahead.
George Pickens, let's say it works out from a football perspective. How many added wins do you think this move makes?
His red zone ability probably going to help you with 3.
I don't want to sound like a homer, man. I think the Cowboys are a 12-win team now.
Oh, how many more wins added onto the current, or how many wins total?
I liked your answer, though.
No, I think his ability probably buys you 3 more. There's the way his ability to make plays, red zone plays, and stuff like that.
You were so close in so many games.
Yeah.
So
without a lot of your starters, I thought this was a 10-win team before this edition. I think I'm with you, Voch. I think the ceiling for this team is certainly 12 wins. But you look at that schedule; it's tough.
It's very tough.
It's a tough schedule. Yeah. Still wouldn't surprise me if this ends up being a 10-7 team. But I think you'd feel a lot better about this 10-7 team than you would without a George Pickens.
Find another wide receiver, find another running back, get another one tech to go in there and just compete and be old, and let's go running, man.
See, now I'm about to get on this one tech soapbox, but I'll let that sit for another day.
All right. Well, before we go, you mentioned schedule. Schedule release is next week, so stay tuned on DallasCowboys.com. Very, very exciting things that are going to happening on the website. So keep an eye out. We'll find out soon what the calendar is for the season 2025. For Nick Harris, Voch Lombardi. It's a tongue twister for me.
It's all right.
Lombardi. Can I say it in Spanish?
Yes.
Please.
Lombardi. Hey, Voch Lombardi.
Clip that.
Bryan, Broaddus, I'm Ambar Garcia. This has been The Break on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!